Hello out there in Packer Nation, and welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We are on episode 78, and so we are in the week. We are relishing in the bye week for the Packers. They had some games, and we'll talk about that obviously in the Wildcard.
Some
weekend.
games.
Nicely done. Jim Fail Nation. When you've lost all your games, crack. Oh, Lord. Okay, what the heck was I talking about? Oh, yeah, football. So, Wildcard weekend, there were some games with an M, and but the Packers, sitting back and getting ready. And so, I guess in order to talk about the name of this episode, I do have to reveal who our opponent's going to be. And it will be none other than the Los Angeles. I almost said St. Louis. The Los Angeles Rams. So we're going to call this episode Ram Jam. Like Betty. Anyway, enough of that. So I am Andrew Hetzel. With me, as always, are my cohorts, Elliot Christensen, Jeremy Huddle. What's up, boys?
Ready for some playoff football.
Yeah, you're getting really jacked up.
I've been ready all weekend. I didn't step away from
Here's what
telly.
I got. I think I wore this last time. This is the Bill Hicks.
What would Bill Hicks say?
What would Bill Hicks say?
Nice.
Oh my God.
Yes, I willed it into existence. And then I gave it out.
That Browns game was amazing.
You know what? We're just kind of flying off the cuff here a little bit, but hey, so they won they scored 28 points in the first quarter. Is that right?
Yes.
They scored 7 when they didn't even have the ball.
Right. First play of the game.
Pick six?
No, snap in the end zone.
Not even. A bad snap into the end zone.
What is that? What is that rule? The touchdown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so somebody jumped on it, is what you're saying.
It was pretty much a fumble. So whoever recovered it.
How in the world did that happen? Because I didn't look. Full disclosure, I didn't watch any football.
It was epic, and then there was there were interception, high snap, low snap. It was epic. It was so good.
Pittsburgh had a choke job.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. They started off 10-0, and then they finished the season.
And you know what?
1-4.
The Browns played well too. The Browns played well on both sides of the ball. So
they
give
did.
Them some credit
but
too.
The second half, how
they
easy they were giving it up.
Yep.
I had a problem with that.
Yeah, they let it coast a little bit.
You had a problem with that.
They took a page from the Packers playbook a little bit there.
Yeah, well, they're playing the game and they damn near forget it. They're like, oh yeah, we might.
I'm thinking you know what? We're gonna have the dog pound busting up some TVs, and tomorrow it's gonna be all over YouTube.
That was their first playoff win in how many years?
Since 94.
No.
I threw out 20, but I don't think that's right.
Since 94.
No. Since yeah.
The last playoff appearance was 2003.
Oh, first win. They made the playoffs, but they lost. Okay, first.
Yeah.
Win. Wow. Man,
just think about that. I think about that in terms of the technology we use. That's Windows 95.
That's a 14.4 modem.
Yeah, if that.
14.4.
If that.
Man, I remember when I saved my hard-earned money in high school to buy the 28.8, and I was bragging to my friends. I'm like, I can download half a megabyte in a half an hour.
Yeah, that's what that would have been. That's what that would have been then. It would have been a 28.8.
That would have been
crazy.
That would have been the Discman with the tape adapter in the car.
You'd have been in there. You'd have been a Browns fan with your 28.8 modem, logging on to see if the Browns won.
Listening to Alice in Chains' Dirt.
Was that 95 too?
No, it was 92.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah. Alice in Chains.
Everything's old. Everything's old.
I know. This is true.
You're killing me.
Okay. So back on track, right?
Back on track.
So the Packers got a bye. But we picked up, we might as well talk about it right now because it just came through the wire, what, about a little over an hour ago, if that? The Packers have a player coming into town to help them out by the name of Jared Valdir, who, if you guys remember, came and saved the day in the last playoff game last year. So he's going to have the interesting distinction of being the first player in the history of the NFL to play for two different teams in the same playoff.
That's nuts.
Andy's favorite player, and also a bet that if the Packers win the Super Bowl, because I just want to get this on record.
Yes.
If the Packers win the Super Bowl, he will buy a Jared Valdir jersey.
Yes, because when Jeremy told me that they got signed in the Slack channel, I was like, oh, look at that. And I was like, awesome. And then he sent me a picture of a Jared Valdir jersey from last year when he was here last year. It was like number 68, like from the merch shop or whatever, the pro shop. And then I walked away, did a couple things. I came back and I said, all right. And so I just typed it out. I just, no, I was like, all right. I was like
Gargamel.
Like, yeah, really. With my cat. Gargamel. You know what? Gargamel. Is there a band out there called Gargamel? There has to be. And I bet you they're a death metal band. Anyway. Hey, speaking of Gargamel.
Off the rails.
Oh, Gargamel. Remember he had Azrael?
Ooh. Azrael. Yes, I do.
Look at him. I annoyed him. He was sleeping.
That's enough about the Blue Man Group. Come on.
That's Pudge, a.k.a. Yogurt Head. Big inside joke. Anyway, what the heck was I talking about? Jared Valdir. So anyway, I came back to the Slack channel and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is because I'm not a big jersey guy. Any jerseys that I have had in the past, they've been gifted to me. I don't go out and buy them and wear them or anything like that. But I said, stipulation is, if the Packers win, they have to win. If they win the Super Bowl, I will buy a Jared Valdir jersey. So you're here first.
Because I think in the year since he was a Packer last year, I think that you've mentioned his name more than any other Packer player.
Really?
Wow.
You are a fan. And
I am a fan.
Crazy.
You are a fan.
I'm a fan.
That can't be true.
I am a Michael Bolton fan. That was from
Michael Bolton.
Remember that? The Office. Is your name Michael Bolton?
Bolton?
Do you know like the singer? Yeah, I heard about him.
Oh my God.
I am a Michael Bolton fan. I celebrate the man's entire catalog.
We're never doing this after 7:00 again.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime. But the amazing thing, obviously, last year was they signed him off the street before the Seattle game, right? And he was if my memory serves me correct, they signed him as a backup. But then Brian Bulaga, he got sick before the game or something, didn't he? Or something happened right before the Seattle game last year. And he had to get activated right before the game. And if they hadn't had him, I don't think we'd win that. I mean, easy to say now, but hindsight. But anyway, enough about him. But let's hope. I've never been more happy to buy a journeyman jersey than his because that means we won. If you see me strutting around town in a Jared Valdir's jersey, then that means we're Super Bowl champions.
Take a picture. And you know what? While we're on the same wavelength.
And here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing. If I'm wearing the jersey, I could claim to be him because nobody's going to know what he looks like. I could just say, I am Jared Valdir. And I'll take selfies with people. And they'll be like, I met him. And I'll be like, yeah, I wear my own jersey around town. Go ahead.
I'm pretty confident that will not happen.
And I'll be like, oh, in the off season, I lose 100 pounds. I cut all my gains.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord, sorry. This is good. This is very, very silly. But I mean, look, let's be honest. The fact that we can have this silly discussion is great because it means we're in that in between period where we're just sitting here as the Packers are just sitting here waiting. You know, we got to play. Not much to report. So it's a good position to be in.
It is. And I do have to report another revelation that you gave Goot a compliment.
I did? Oh, yep. Yeah. Things going all in. You look at me?
No, I mean, I mentioned, we just signed Jared Valdir. We signed Snacks Harrison a few weeks ago, and then Tavon Austin. These are all veteran players that, most teams probably weren't even thinking about, but they could be instrumental in our pathway to Tampa. So, we'll see.
Agreed. Now, we probably should shift our focus to the team we will be playing, the Los Angeles Rams. I think we could probably do this in two spots here. Number one, Jeremy saw the game. Like I said, I dereliction of duty. I didn't watch any football at all. Stayed off social media, so I might as well have been under a rock. But
Well, you're trying to lose weight though, so that you can be a Jared Valdir impersonator next year.
It's true. I had an ulterior motive.
Exactly.
I'm playing 28D chess.
Oh my god!
But no, the blog. Jeremy just put out a blog about our upcoming opponent, and it's fantastic. So I think anyway, take it away from basically what you saw in the game and what we can expect.
Yeah, game wise, I had a good feeling that they were going to win the game, but I didn't feel.
Were you just orange crushing it?
Oh yeah,
That's a great soda. It's been a long time.
But I lost my Crush bottle, so now it's in a Diet Coke bottle. So it's kind of
that would be a soda I would think about drinking. I haven't had soda in forever, but man, that would be good.
Yeah. I just thought that was a subtle touch. I thought you were doing that on purpose.
Do you guys remember Sturge?
Never. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still around.
So off the rails.
It's still around.
Good Lord, Jolt. You ever had Jolt?
Mm. Oh yeah.
Man alive.
We should
Jolt today.
I was going to say we should all have a jolt before our podcast and see where we.
I remember when I worked at Winn-Dixie in Alpharetta, Georgia. The grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Winn-Dixie. Actually, I had a very famous my quote in my senior yearbook. My senior quote was "Shop Winn-Dixie, your low price leader." That's right. Every other person was like "Soar on the wings of eagles" and all this namby-pamby BS, and I was like,
"Oh my god!"
That summed me up perfectly.
God.
Anyway,
wow.
I remember stalking,
Wait,
stocking like a I wasn't stalking a person.
You were stalking shelves. You weren't stalking Elliot. Okay.
Yes. It's like
like before I put my shoes on.
Jolt Cola. I remember stocking pallets.
Jolt Cola.
2 liters, baby.
Yeah. Gosh.
So anyway,
sickness.
I do, and the only cure is Jeremy's blog. So Jeremy, tell us about the Rams.
Wow, if you're waiting for my blog, man.
No, that was excellent.
This is a 2021 pandemic. This is the repercussions from it. No, I came away very impressed with the Rams. They pretty much shut down Russell Wilson. I mean, he had 140 or 170 yards passing. They had 11 first. They held the Seahawks to 11 first downs, 278 yards of total offense. They just dominated them, literally. And this.
I have to imagine that the defensive line pressured them every snap.
Yes, I think they had 5 or 6 sacks in the game, and probably about close to a dozen quarterback hits.
Wow.
And Seattle's offensive line is just. I mean, they're not that good, so
that's true.
They just took advantage of a really crappy situation that they walked into. But I mean, they just had their way with Seattle. Even they came into the game. Rams came into the game with a backup quarterback who pretty much, he was a walk-on, at whatever university.
That was weird because didn't Goff come in later?
Yeah, he came in end of the first quarter or beginning of the second quarter. I can't remember. It was right around the intermission there of the second quarter.
That seems odd because it's like, I mean, obviously he came in due to injury to the third string quarterback, but it's like it's just funky. You know what I mean?
Jared Goff, 12 days before the game, had surgery on his throwing thumb. He injured it.
Favre. He didn't play the whole year.
He didn't play the whole year, but he hit it on the helmet of a Seattle player when they played them in week 16.
That's what happened with Favre, I think, that year. Same thing.
Could have been.
Probably the same injury, but he played because he wasn't going to miss a game over a thumb.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't remember Favre's exact injury, but I mean, Jared Goff dislocated and broke it, had 3 pins placed in it. And he played 12 days later. So he was the number 2 quarterback. He came in, John Wolford started, was hurt in the first quarter, I think it was. And then they were pretty much left with Jared Goff and then a tight end as their backup. They have a third quarterback, Blake Bortles, but he was inactive. So, Goff looked didn't look very good. Like he looked like he had a very difficult time handling the ball. He had tough time.
He was wearing an oven mitt.
He just had a little bit of tape on it. That's all he had.
I mean, I don't see how impressive.
Yeah. But I mean, he's literally one hit away from being done. It's you could see when he was handing the ball off to Cam Akers, he was handing it with his other arm, and
Really? No.
yeah. And it was funny because whenever he came to the sidelines and he would high five McVay, he'd high five him with his left hand, and McVay was always like, "Left hand, buddy, left hand." He was very adamant about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they dominated Seattle and made them look like.
And when you say dominated
defensively, yeah, like I said, Seattle had 278 yards of total offense, 11 first downs, held Russell Wilson to 172 yards of total passing.
That's
and yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like they had 136 yards rushing on the ground, but they only had 142 yards total passing, like net passing. So it was.
I
really
saw that
day.
You sent the video of that pick six that quarterback jumped on a screen.
Yeah,
holy man alive.
Yeah, okay. The strength of the Rams is their defensive line. I mean, they get so much pressure with Aaron Donald, probably the best.
That guy, he's like Reggie White.
Yeah,
in his prime,
and he had a down year.
He was everywhere.
Sacks.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having a down year with 13.5 sacks? Zadarius had that last year. We were all raving about it, And then they got Jalen Ramsey, a starting cornerback, who's probably the best cornerback in the league. Who?
Jair Alexander.
Well, okay, whatever.
Okay, so they're
1A and 1B. How about
there?
That?
You go. But who's 1A?
Ramsey. Given. Give me another year with Alexander playing at his level, and then I'll throw him up there with Ramsey.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's where I'd like to see, Alexander against Metcalf, because Jalen Ramsey held him to 33 yards.
And I heard it's Jalen Ramsey. He's got at least 3 inches on Alexander height-wise, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like 6'2",
which is for a cornerback that is tall. Normally
210
like
pounds, right? 210 pounds. He's a big dude, and he's quick. He's phenomenally gifted.
Him versus Devontae should be quite.
That'll be the matchup this game, because they're going to pretty much shadow Ramsey on Adams. They're not going to allow Adams to, get away from him. It'll be interesting to see how that matchup plays.
I mean, could you imagine if Adams does have like a pretty good? I can't see him dominating him, but if he happens to come out and has a good game against him, that'd be awesome.
Well, and see, that's the thing with DK Metcalf. Like,
he only had like 30 yards. I saw.
Yeah, 33 yards receiving, and DK Metcalf is just he's a man among boys. He's a big dude. He's fast. Adams is a great receiver. He's got great feet, but isn't that 4.3 kind of a guy. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens. My assumption is they're going to be moving Adams around a lot with motion and stuff like that to try
Put
to
him in
get
the slot, baby.
Because Ramsey likes to jam receivers. He likes to get up in their face and knock them off their route, and that's the name of his game. So, defensively, they're going to be a problem. I really think that's going to be a problem. But if the Packers can contain Aaron Donald, can contain Michael Brockers, can contain Leonard Floyd, it should be a pretty good path to victory. I think they can run the ball on them, which they have the 3rd best rush defense in the league.
Wow. Do they have the best overall defense in the league?
Best overall defense.
God, that does make me nervous. I mean, it's great to get them at Lambeau and all that, but this is the playoffs. This is when you're going to see, it's like if they had the number 1 defense and they weren't in the playoffs. Like,
this is categorically, this is the number 1 offense in the Packers versus the number 1 defense in the Rams. The Packers have scored the most points of any NFL team. The Rams have given up the least amount of points. The Packers have had, I think they're 2nd or 3rd in total yards or something like that. The Rams are first. Turnovers. The Packers have only had 11. The Rams have had 22 on defense. So, it's a contrast in in dominance.
Unstoppable force meets immovable objects.
Right. Right. So, it's the best of the best, and that I'm
thank
really
God we get them
happy
at home in the cold.
That's what I was just going to say.
Do they play in a dome in LA?
It's a retractable, but yeah, it's pretty much a dome.
I mean, and again, like, after hearing all that, one of the things I go back to is, I don't see Devontae I find it hard to believe he's going to dominate. That's not to say he's not going to do anything. So it's like we got 3 good running backs. 3. I don't want to see them collect dust. I mean, if we go out there and Devontae's feasting, I'd be surprised, but go at it. I mean, he's great. We know this, but I don't want them feeding Devon if they're not getting anywhere and they continually are trying to force things. Number one, if they continue to force things, there's going to be interceptions. Rodgers going to throw interceptions. I saw against that defense. Oh my word! So
the litmus
plus the fact that we lost our All-Pro left tackle. I mean, you got to think they're going to put Aaron Donald. Normally, he goes over guards, like you said, more the interior of the line. But they'd be foolish not to put him over Billy Turner.
Yeah,
here and there.
I mean, to me, if I'm going to game plan against this Packer offensive line, I'm going to put Aaron Donald on Lucas Patrick and Billy
every
Turner.
snap,
and even maybe Rick Wagner.
Yeah.
Those are my 3 points I'm going to go after. But like, the Packers don't have something that they can go after this game. The Rams are good at all levels of defense. So it's not like you can go in and say, well, you know what, we're just going to tear it up the passing the ball, or we're going to tear it up rushing the ball. This is a team that is stout on all of those fronts.
I think it's
going to be a game of the minds because they have a really good defensive coordinator. I mean, he's younger than us. He's 38 years old. And he's just dynamic. And then you have Matt LaFleur, who schemes an offense to get guys open. It's going to be a great head match.
You know who I think this game screams for, just overall, is Aaron Jones. And it screams for him to even line up like they did early as a receiver. I think it's easy to just say that, but I think it'd be foolish not to do that. And it all depends on how the game plays out. Because like I said, I mean, if you're moving the ball with the way I'm basically assuming, I guess, that
just for quick wide passes.
No, but I'm assuming that their defense, the Rams, since they're basically number one against they're good against the run and the pass, that they're going to keep us in check. The pass, number one, I think they're going to keep the passing game in check pretty good.
Yeah.
And look, after Devontae, we don't have anybody who's going to burn them. So again, I think we really, and Aaron Jones is kind of that hybrid where he's a pretty darn good back, but man, is he shifty as hell. Again, I keep having it go back to, if we find ourselves struggling with the game plan, and it's struggling with the game plan more around passing, we better be ready to run the ball if we have to.
Yeah, I don't think that's a question. That I'd be shocked if they don't.
I mean, you got Rodgers as the MVP
times.
We got Rodgers as the MVP, but if he has to hand the ball off frickin' 30 times in this game because it's working, you do it.
Yeah.
Is he committed? And sometimes I'm just like, is LaFleur and is Rodgers, are they committed to do that? Again, if they go out and they're moving the ball with a mix of whatever, that's one thing.
But you could tell LaFleur in every game that he comes into, if the opponent has a poor pass defense, he attacks it. If they have a poor rush defense, he attacks it. I don't see what he can attack. Honestly, where I see the Packers being able to get some advantages are on their linebackers. So getting Robert Tonyan on a linebacker, getting Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams out of the backfield on a linebacker. I think that's where you can beat the Rams. Their linebackers aren't good in coverage. They're kind of like ours, where they can get beat. So that's where I would attack them, is up the middle of the field with tight ends and out of the backfield with the running backs.
So it could be a Tonyan game.
Although, it could be. Yeah.
Or even as I say that, it's could be a lot of screens. You
have to I mean, I looked at the opponents that they played that had success against them, and really nobody had a lot of success against them. But when they did, it was on stuff that like stunts and getting the defense to react. Like motion or whatever, getting the defense to react, and a lot of deceiving. And a lot of deceiving and out screens. I mean, I saw, I don't know who the opponent was, but they had a screen for a touchdown against them, and I mean, it just obliterated them on the play.
That's how you can slow down a maniacal rush.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald. I mean, he did get hurt. Apparently, he hurt his ribs. They're saying Go ahead.
So supposedly, what happened is he took Russell Wilson down. Russell Wilson landed on his ribs, and you could tell right away he was hurt. Supposedly, the rumor mill is that he broke a couple ribs, but they're kind of keeping that in the down low because they don't want that to get out. But he'll come into this game less than 100%, which is a good thing, But even him at 75% is better than most players.
Yeah,
that's
like I said, he reminds me of Reggie White in his prime. He's just.
And you know what?
He can wreck a game by himself easily.
The dude is only like 290 pounds, and he can toss around linemen, like you said, like Reggie White. It's ridiculous. I've seen him obliterate double teams. 2 guys on him, and he obliterates them. That's unworldly talent, and that's hard to – it's going to be a challenge for the Packers to contain him. There's no way you can stop him. Just to contain him is what your goal is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, so what? I guess maybe the question for you, Jeremy, is what do you think the Packers should do, and what do you think they will do offensively against that defense?
Where I don't think that they can beat them between the tackles rushing the ball. I don't think they can beat them mid-quarters passing the ball. I think where they're susceptible is over the middle intermediately. Their linebackers. If there's a weakness on that team, their middle linebackers are less than average. Okay. So I'm going to do a bunch of stuff that gets Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones out of the backfield and on a linebacker. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can there. And also too, I'm going to put Robert Tonyan next to Devontae Adams and make them choose. Okay, am I going to have a safety on him, or am I going to have a linebacker on him? You're going to make them make the choice on who they're going to put on him. And that's how you scheme it up, that. And LaFleur is really good at that. So that's how I would beat them. What I think they're going to do, I really think they're going to come out and just try to eat them alive with play action. I mean,
you do have to be able to run the ball to get them to bite on play action.
You do. But Seattle had a little bit of success with play action this past weekend. I don't know if that attributes to the Packers having the same success, but. This is a defense that you just can't go mano a mano against them. You're not going to beat them that way. You have to deceive them, That's how you beat the Rams defense.
I got you.
You got me all scared now.
No reason to be scared. It's just, it's a challenge, and so far this whole year, the Packers have met every challenge that's been put forward to them. So It's not like it's not going to happen.
So in a normal season, I would say, it kind of boils down to, in the last 5 years, Aaron Rodgers, how he comes out. But, the last month or so, it hasn't just been all about Rodgers. So that's been good.
Well, the other thing, I think, to your point about just Rodgers, when you look at playoff defeats, even going back to last year Rodgers had a horrific game last year. Look, we all know, did they lose that game because of Rodgers? No, they lost that game because of the defense and how bad the defense was. But I think, didn't he fumble on the opening series? I'm pretty sure he fumbled deep in his own territory.
It was a bad snap. Yeah,
was it a bad snap, or was it did he just fumble because he got attacked? But anyway, he had a freaking 30 rating for that game. Nobody was getting open. It almost looked like a classic McCarthy thing. I remember in the third quarter, he was forcing the ball to Geronimo Allison and stuff like that. But I do not. That's why I kind of go back to the running backs, because look, if Rodgers, it's the number one defense. If Rodgers is struggling against the number one defense, that's okay. That happens. It's the playoffs. Number one defense. They have to. I just hope they have enough gumption and enough, stubborn pride to be like, again, this is one of those things where a Tom Brady, and you can look at it at New England going back 20 years. If he's gotten into games, even at home, even as number one seed or whatever, where you have to hand the ball off 40 times, I'm being a little facetious on 40, but if it calls for 40 handoffs, you do it in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if Rodgers. I think LaFleur would be more inclined to do it. Rodgers.
So you don't think Rodgers has
If Rodgers
sold
can't pass
into the offense this year?
No, I guess no.
And the ability to,
what I'm saying is, he hasn't played a defense like this whole year,
right?
So if and I have to think, I'm just kind of assuming that they're going to struggle a little bit, which is fine because of the number one defense. And if he can't pass the ball very well, but they show some life and they are moving the ball somewhat effectively, running the ball, can he commit to handing the ball off at a 2-to-1 ratio versus passing?
More so than any year in his career that I can remember.
What's damn well hope so is what I'm saying.
More so than any year that I can remember in his career, he takes what the defense has given him this year. He has no problem checking down.
I'm not even talking checking down. I'm talking about handing the ball off to a running back.
Yeah. They've averaged over 25 rushes per game.
Yeah.
And
I guess what I'm saying is I want to see it. I don't know if I'd necessarily believe it until I see it.
Well, let's put the money down right now. I can guarantee you they're going to rush the ball at least 30 times this game.
30 times? Mm-hmm. That's an interesting number.
Over under
rushing attempts. What do they average, you think? I mean, I don't know if we know it, but
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look it up.
That'd be good to know. And I guess maybe I'm still kind of stuck on like McCarthyism too, or it's McCarthyism. Where there's been games where they didn't even run the ball 10 times the whole freaking game. You know?
Yeah.
So 400
going to happen
in a playoff game.
So right now they average roughly 28 rushes per game.
Really? Oh,
yeah, they had 443 total.
That 30 number is pretty good right there on top of your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucky. We all have, every dog gets its day.
Well, again, I say that and I'm predicating it on, if they come out and they can't pass, if Devontae's getting shut down and, no other receivers stepping up, you'd like to think they have tight ends, but if that's not working or whatever, and he's got, that's why I say he's got Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and A.J. Dillon sitting right back there.
Right.
We don't want them sitting in the barn collecting dust if they're available weapons and the passing game isn't working. Last thing I want to see. I hope not.
No, I and also the weather too is going to play a role in all of this. Like it's supposed to be mid 20s. It's not going to be deathly frozen tundra, but it's going to be cold for the Rams. I mean, Jared Goff has played 2 games in below 32-degree weather, and he has not had a good
and they're banged
experience
up.
in it. They are banged up. Yes, they might be missing a couple linemen too this game. So.
It would be really good to see. This didn't even cross my mind, but so our defense is kind of ascending. What if our defense, and they are banged up, and it's at home against a warm weather team or whatever, dome team, half dome. If our defense comes out and swarms them, and this becomes more of a defensive performance /win, that'd be awesome. Well, I would almost like that more in a way.
It's a playoff game. Everybody's got to step up. Everybody's got to step up.
I agree, and I mean, as we got back to you got everything the way you want it. You got the number 1 seed. Your only significant injury is look, it's your all-pro left tackle. It's your all-pro left tackle, which is obviously a big loss. But they did. I think they have pretty good depth, and they just signed Valdir. So on top of that, it's like there was like maybe a tiny excuse to me. It's like there ain't no excuses. Period. Unless somebody gets hurt in the game,
right? And all we've asked for the Packers this year is for guys to step up. And they have, I mean, everybody has stepped up that's been put in position.
And I'm hoping too, this is the second year of the offense. Look, I think last year was like a Frankenstein of McCarthy and McCarthy's offense and LaFleur's for the most part, even in the playoffs. This year it's fully LaFleur's offense, of LaFleur, led offense, if you will. So I think that's definitely a good thing too.
Yeah. And I think the key cog, and I think, a lot of people don't really see this because he's behind the scenes, but I think one of the key cogs in Rodgers buying into this offense was Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator.
Well, he's going to be gone. He's going to get a head coaching job.
We'll see. But, he's been instrumental in getting Rodgers to come on board. He's a smart dude. LaFleur could worry about calling the plays, and Hackett can be on the sideline saying, "Hey, I see this, attack this or whatever." So,
it's funny as you say that. I mean, I agree with what you say, but it's like, okay, Rodgers is on board with the offense that the coach runs, and part of me is going, and it's like I go back to like the Chris Rock bit where he talks about guys who brag. You're gonna have to go down the rabbit hole with me, all right? Chris Rock, he says, he goes, people walk up and go, they'll brag to him, I take care of my kids. It's like, you want a cookie? It's like, this is what you're supposed to do. You don't get credit for what you're supposed to do. This is the offense the coach runs. I'm gonna run the offense. You're supposed to do it. You don't get credit for that. Does that make sense?
True. Yeah, totally.
It does.
Totally.
Okay, good. Good. Glad. It's so true that it's like Rodgers is buying into the offense. It's like, I don't know. When you hear that, I mean, is there some truth where he was like resistant to certain things last year? It'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I don't think he was resistant, but I don't think he understood the offense. This is his first year in a different offense. And just like
I agree. I agree.
Tom Brady has struggled in Tampa, in the first half of the year. So
yeah, I mean, look, I'm being facetious in some of that, but at the same time, it's like that whole narrative of like, I don't know how much he's buying in. He's like, that's a problem. It's like, oh, I'm a president of a company who makes water bottles, and I brought in a guy, who wants to make tires. But I want to make tires. I make water bottles. Okay. And?
Yeah.
That was a horrible analogy, but whatever.
I followed it.
The Chris Rock one was much better. You don't get credit for things you're supposed to do.
Agreed. It's a good analogy.
Kids. Big brain. All right. So I think we're going to have to go into predictions.
Uh-oh.
Now, first, we have a little special here on predictions. Previous predictions we're going to look at. We're going to do a post-mortem.
Post-mortem.
One of those. You ever heard corporate speak when they talk about that? We're going to have a post-mortem on whatever happened. It's like, who died?
Yeah, I can't stand when they say that.
I know. I had a boss who said that a lot. But anyway, more importantly, prediction for this game first.
Elliot, go first.
Yeah. So 33-20 or 30-23. 30-23.
Ooh, high scoring. Andy?
27-21 Packers.
I'm on the same wavelength. I'm thinking Packers 27, Rams 17. I think it'll be a close game, but I think in the end,
Okay, hold on.
What's the spread? That's the other thing.
It was 7.5 the last time I saw it.
And a home team always gets 3 anyway because it's a home team, right? Is it 3 or 3.5?
Oh, now it's down to 6.5.
See.
They signed Valdir and it goes down?
All right. What did you pick, Andy?
27. I think I said 27-21. Yeah, 27-21.
All right. What did you pick, Jeremy?
27-17 Pack.
Oh, that's right. You had yours in your blog post. That's right. Yeah. All right.
That was a great blog post. Good job.
Well, when you watch the whole weekend of a team, you kind of come up with some stuff.
Yeah, you don't get credit for stuff you're supposed to do.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding. Could use the humor. Okay, so I guess, we didn't really have a set linear plan for this next part, but one thing we were thinking we could do, since the Packers have a bye and we have a little bit more time to go through this, we came up with an idea of looking at past predictions in the regular season in terms of what our predictions were versus what the actual outcomes were. I probably should put the caveat out there that, I don't remember all the happenings of every game, but it's just interesting maybe to look at what we did and what actually happened on a macro level, I suppose. Okay, so this is just a real quick rudimentary spreadsheet that Elliot put together that looks at actual score for all opponents of all the games, regular season, again, just regular season, and then each of us and what we picked. And what I noticed right away was none of us picked the Vikings in the opening game. None of us picked the score. So I had dash to dash in terms of Packers and opponent. We all picked the same. So the actual score, look, I can say right off the bat that I did not see the Packers scoring 43 points in that game. It was on the road.
Right.
I could see the Packers giving up 24. Full disclosure, I probably would have almost thought more, but 43 on the road against a division rival, I probably didn't see happening. So that was a pleasant surprise, and it was kind of a foreshadowing of what was to come with what this offense was going to turn into. The one thing I did remember about that game is that Devontae did great, and Rodgers looked good. I mean, other than that, it was I don't remember a whole lot. And again, we didn't even put it in a prediction. Now, full disclosure, this was, COVID. We were trying to figure things out. I think we're still in COVID, obviously, but I think we were just trying to figure out what the heck we were doing and how we were going to go about doing it, so to speak.
Have we figured out what we're
doing? We're still there. I think it's 3 years later and we're in the same spot. we're winging it. Yeah, I probably shouldn't even said that. Right? Could apply to any day of the week. No. Okay. So second game, Lions actual. I mean, it was almost a carbon copy score wise, 42-21. I had 30-21. Now I hit the opponent, but I was underselling the offense. I had 30. Packers scored 42.
Yeah, me too. Even worse.
Now, 30, I'm sorry. I almost looked at it. I was like, wait a minute, 21. Forget it. Jeremy had Packers 30, opponent 24, and Elliot had 24-21. So you had a little bit closer. We all were on the under for what they ended up scoring. And again, it was I think we're all pretty in line with what the Lions actually ended up scoring. But we were underestimating, I guess, the offense, and it was another division game. That one was at home, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember it, honestly, but yeah. So let's see. Saints, 37-30. They only scored 37. Couldn't hit 40 in that one. I had 30-24.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Jeremy had 27-23. And Elliot had 27-24. So we all still had the Packers winning. Yeah. But they I mean, that sounds about right. I think even at the end of the season, that was probably would you say that was the best win, regular season win?
I would go with the Titans.
Titans? Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, they're an AFC team, so
I don't think you can go wrong, though. I mean, either or, because both teams. Obviously, the Saints are still going along, but
they're the 2 seed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Titans, they still had a lot to play for. I'm meaning we did, so it wasn't like it. That obviously helped. So Falcons, 30-16. I had 35-24. Jeremy had 37-34. Elliot had 42-17. I guess looking at that, just off the top of my head, I would have figured they would have scored more points, but hell, double. I mean, it's a 2. That's still. Would you can? So yeah, this reminds me. What do you guys consider a blowout? Is it more than 2 touchdowns? Mm-hmm. Or is it a certain point total?
I would say that's a pretty good estimate. More than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, if you win by 14, I consider that a blowout, I guess. I mean, it doesn't have to be more than 2 touchdowns.
You think 14 is a blowout?
It's the minimum cutoff, I guess.
I think 3 possessions is a blowout. So it could be 2 touchdowns and a field goal, or it could be 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So when you say 3 scores, that could be 2 touchdowns, field goal, or whatever. I mean, I got you. Grandpa Bay, as Elliot likes to call them. We didn't pick scores on this, and thank goodness we didn't, because we all, we picked the
You know why? Because I would have picked 42-17 again.
Really?
No, in my preseason blog, I did have us losing this game. So
I can't remember. Obviously, I can't rember what the heck it was, but it's like we basically bet on. We picked the house.
Yeah.
We're talking Vegas. We picked the house. Look, we know what happened in that game. Rodgers threw a pick six, which he'd only thrown.
Yeah. Why?
How many he had only thrown one in his career up until then?
Yeah.
Or two. That was his second.
That was a second.
And both were at Tampa Bay. How about that? His first pick six was in Tampa Bay in like 2000.
Okay, I don't like where this is going because the Super Bowl is in Tampa.
All right.
Stop.
Yeah. We need a petition to change the venue.
Yep, we're gonna do it right now.
Right now. That game sucked. I mean, it started out, we were up 10. That's what's funny. It's like 38 unanswered points. We were up in that game 10-0. I do remember that. And then after that pick six, it was like the bottom fell out. So whatever. Texans 35-20. I said 30-24. I mean, and a lot of these, Jeremy had 33-28. Elliot 35-15. And a lot of these were kind of, the Packers score more than what we think, which I guess is good. Just trying to look at opponent versus. I think this might have been the area, or like the point of the season. I know, Jeremy, you were really, really down on the defense. I think we all kind of were, but you were not happy with the defense at all. And I want to say, just looking at this, I know you kind of came around the last quarter of the season. It seemed with the defense. Is that about fair?
I would say after the Eagle game, I was starting to feel them,
and that's about right where this is in here. Okay, so Vikings. This was the one where when they came to Lambeau, and Dalvin Cook had 4 touchdowns himself. Every score was Dalvin Cook. 31-17. I had Jeremy 30-16, and Elliot had 35-7 Packers, and they lost 22-20. I mean, I don't really know what to say about that except Dalvin Cook made us look silly, and that was at home. And what's weird is, I mean, the only other comparable game from a running back at home would have been the Titan game, and we held Derrick Henry very well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
98 yards, I think it was.
Yeah.
And see, the thing that worried me in that game was I was worried about tiebreakers at the end of the season as far as playoff seeding went.
The Viking loss, you mean?
Yeah, because I was looking down the schedule and I'm like, okay, they're probably going to lose against the Colts and then they're probably going to lose against the Titans. I can see the Saints losing 1 or 2 games and the same with the Seahawks and the Rams, but in the end, that game did not come back to haunt us. Like in years past, we had that one game where it always came back and bit us in the seeding process. This year it didn't. You
know which one really, really sticks in my craw is when they went to Buffalo in 2014 and laid a huge egg. And it cost them from having the NFC Championship game that year at home, and they had to go to Seattle. That was huge. I think Rodgers had like 70 yards passing in that whole game. It was awful. Anywho, so 49ers, the one thing I remember about that game was the 49ers were beat up unbelievably. I don't think Garoppolo played. I don't think, Bosa didn't play. Kittle didn't play. They were like a shell of their, so 34-17, that was a score that should have happened. Let's see. And I had, look at this. I had them losing.
So did I.
20-27. Only Elliot pulled through. He had a 1-point win.
Such a homer.
Nice. But that was the one thing I do. I mean, look, it was an undermanned Viking or 49ers team, but it was on the road for us, and we did what we were supposed to do, as they say. So I'm not going to make any apologies for that. You don't get credit for things you're supposed to do. Jaguars, actual score 24-20. This one was way too close for comfort. I had 31-17. Jeremy didn't have anything. He didn't pick anything. I got dashes here. You picked the house. Elliot 37-17, and then my dad, Andrew Jr., 34. This was Where was he on all these other games? He only did one game. I'm just kidding. We won't hold it against him.
He was undefeated.
Yeah, really. 34-17. That game was too darn close. I know that, I guess the Jaguars coming in, they were like, 1-10 or something? They were like, they ended up being the worst team in the league. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence. So, sometimes teams have pride and yada, yada, yada. And from what I remember, their defense was pretty good.
Yeah. They outplayed us that whole game. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I do remember.
And special teams because they had the punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, we were holding on. Right. We were holding on for dear life in that game. I remember that. Now Colts, that was a disappointing game. 31-34. I had Packers 27-24. Jeremy had 22-33. Packers lost, and Elliot he was a homer again. 22-21. Low scorer for Elliot there. The thing that sticks with me in that, we were up, if my memory serves me correct, were we up
28-14?
Yeah, 28-14. Okay, that's right. We did great in the first half. We looked really good, and then we disappeared. The offense fell apart, but Rodgers did do a great game tying drive, and then as Rodgers' overtime record is abysmal. It is almost, for a quarterback as good as he is, and the accolades and the winning, all that stuff. It's amazing how bad he is in overtime, and 90% of it's not his fault. That was the game where MVS had a pretty darn good game, but then he fumbled on the first drive in overtime, and it cost him the game. I don't know what else you can say about it. That was just a disappointing game. Yep. Good first half, but the second half sucked, and then I do remember I thought we were going to win that game. Because we were moving the ball in overtime. It was like, if you just don't turn the ball over, and then when you turn the ball over, that was it. Okay, Bear game, 41-25. This was at Lambeau. We whooped them. I said 27-20. I think we all had it pretty close here. Jeremy 23-17, Elliot 28-20. I don't know about you guys, but for the most part, when you have division rivals, they seem to be closer.
Right.
I think that's just like regression to the mean or whatever you want to call it. But we whooped them 41. If my memory serves me correct, it wasn't even that close. I think
the score was not indicative of.
I think we gave up like 2 garbage touchdowns.
Yes, we did.
So
we were sitting there in the last possession. We're like, don't let them score, and then we just all lost our what's.
Yeah. Yep. Lions 31-14. 30-21. I had.
Oh, you forgot the Eagles.
I did. Oh, Jesus! I'm sorry. Well, we know how Andrew Hetzel Jr. feels about the Eagles. It's not like
so we just avoid them. I have no problem with that.
Doug Peterson got fired today.
Yeah, I was going to just say that.
Yeah.
No.
Did that surprise you?
Yeah, it did.
Surprised me a little bit.
When you wonder that whole tanking thing, or quote tanking thing. It's like, did that have anything to do with it?
No, it was more so the direction and how Peterson was going to lead this team, and I don't think Jeffrey Lurie agreed with it, so they just cut their ties.
It's crazy. 3 years ago, Super Bowl winner.
Right. And they have a statue. I sent you that picture of that statue in Philadelphia of Peterson and Nick Foles, who don't even play for the organization anymore.
Wow.
And a statue right near the stadium. So
wow.
That was 2018. So that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, right.
How easily they forget.
Nuts.
Well, that sounds right on par for Philly.
Yeah, it does.
It
does.
Did you want to?
It does.
Did you
That's
want
like a microcosm of Philly right there. What's that?
Did you want to bang on him for a little bit for your father?
For my father?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Well,
they were the most unruly fans I've ever seen.
Oh, well, okay. So you know what? I don't want to dwell on the Eagles too much, but so what do you mean they don't agree on the direction? So what? I mean, do they want to resurrect Wentz?
Well, I think Wentz is part of the equation, but the differences they had were they were going to hire the offensive coordinator from within, and they were going to hire their defensive coordinator within. And Lurie wanted to go on the outside and bring some new blood in, infuse the team, and he felt like it was just too toxic to keep all these new people, all the remaining people that were on the staff here. Yeah. When all they needed was just a little juice from the outside to get them over the hump. And that's where Lurie was thinking. Peterson wanted to hire from within. That was the difference.
I don't know anything about Lurie. I mean, is he, in terms of an owner, I mean, is he?
He's the same as
good or?
Yeah, I mean, he's good. I mean, he's the same as any other owner. He wants results. I mean, he's investing a ton of money into an organization. He wants to see results. So
it like that whole point about like Super Bowl to 3 years later fired. That it's just, that is in a way that's how the other half lives. I mean, look, McCarthy ended up getting fired, but it was a decade later, and it was.
But if you look at all these teams out there that are successful, you think of the Saints, you think of the Packers, just as one at the top of my head, you think of the Seahawks. They've all had very cohesive organizations from the top to bottom. These other teams that do not make the playoffs and are continuously losing, they're changing and they're bringing in new blood every 3 to 4 years because they want to get to our level.
You know what is the ultimate deodorant, though, is having a good quarterback.
It helps.
I mean, just think about that, right? It's like having Aaron Rodgers and having Russell Wilson is that provides so much.
Covers up a lot of
it covers up a lot of ills, it just does,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it as Mike Sherman would say, it is what it is. Okay, so Lions. Every time I think of Mike Sherman, I remember Cellcom commercials. You go, "So cool, clearly the best." That goofy accent. So cool,
New York
clearly
mobster.
the best.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, and every coach gets passed the baton of the Cellcom commercial.
I know. It's so weird.
Now you got LaFleur doing it with Bakhtiari.
McCarthy.
You hear that? No, yeah, I know.
Do you remember his McCarthy commercials?
With Randall Cobb salad. Something like that. Yeah. It is funny how you just get that's the endorsement you get immediately. Like when you sign the contract, they give you that endorsement there too, I guess. Okay. Lions 31-14. I had 30-21. Jeremy had this one closer, 24-21. Elliot had a blowout 34-19. I don't know. I mean, Lions, they fired Matt Patricia. They're a mess.
Doug Peterson could go there.
That's a good point.
Could you imagine that?
We should be afraid of that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like you don't want to wish ill will on people, but I don't mind wishing ill will on organizations, especially division rivals.
Sure.
So it's like, they should sign. Chicago should sign Trubisky to a lifetime contract. I am all for it.
Bring it.
The MVP.
MVP, yeah, the Nickelodeon valuable player.
Oh my God!
Did you see that?
Nickelodeon valuable player. What?
The game was televised on Nickelodeon, and it was all themed for children. And so when they scored a touchdown, they had like this green ooze shooting into the end zone. It was really hysterical.
Word.
And so Nate Burleson, who was one of the broadcasters for the game, they asked him to describe Taysom Hill, the quarterback, running back, wide receiver from the Saints. And Nate Burleson said, kids, that kid that always, or that kid that does everything on the playground really well, that's Taysom Hill.
Huh.
But it was funny. MVP.
I like that. Nickelback valuable player. Whatever.
Nickelback.
Look at this photograph. God. Okay. Enough of this nonsense. We went from the Lions to Nickelodeon. Okay. Panthers 24-16. That was a hard-fought game. They didn't have Christian McCaffrey. He was injured, correct? Oof. I think that was probably the difference in that game when you think about it.
Yeah.
31-21 I had. Jeremy had 30-10. And Elliot, man, he's got blowouts galore.
He's a homer.
It should have been a blowout. It should have been a blowout.
He's a homer. Simpson.
Oh, it should have been a blowout. My score wasn't much different than yours.
I know.
Yeah, it was. It was 42.
One of the best lines, by the way, from Simpsons, particularly Homer Simpson.
30-10, 42-17.
So total points scored 40-59.
Do you remember one of the early Simpsons episodes?
Nah.
Because Elliot is a Homer Simpson. The early Simpsons episode,
but
he's
they
yelling.
did score 16.
Listen to this. This is important.
Ooh,
He's
good
yelling
point.
he's yelling at Bart, and he goes, "Bart, remember what Vince Lombardi said? If you lose, you're out of the family." No laughs? Oh, man. All right. Sad trombone on that one. Titans. This was a very impressive game. So Titans were coming in. We had everything to play for. They had everything to play for, too. And, I mean, we whooped them. And Derrick Henry, who, I mean, hell, you could argue he could be an MVP caliber player, even if he's running back. We held him to under 100 yards, I believe.
98 yards.
That was an outstanding game. So, you know, as I think about it, that probably was the best. They were obviously a team that had a winning record. We were playing. There was still something on the line. This wasn't like we had anything wrapped up, and we whooped them. So I would agree that that's probably the number one win, and that number two is probably the Saints. But
I mean, considering too, like we were just talking about the Jaguars, we barely beat them.
Yeah,
we lost to the Colts.
Crazy,
and then we killed the Titans, who were, you know, the Colts made the playoffs, but they were the two only teams from that division that made the playoffs. So,
now Jeremy had a loss there.
I did.
I had a close win. Elliot did not have quite a blowout win, but he had a win.
For Elliot, that's
I didn't think we were going to put up 40 on him, so that was impressive.
I know.
I didn't even have 30. So, okay, now Bears 35-16. I had 24-17. Jeremy 33-24. And Elliot 39-7. I don't remember that score. What the hell?
Yeah,
that's
look at this. Right. Look at the
39-7.
Look at the actual.
That's about right.
You know what? And then look at the bottom. Look at the averages.
Oh, I took it away. Sorry.
yeah. That's about right.
No, I mean, it is interesting. All kidding aside,
you want to make fun of me, but
what? No, I mean, it is interesting to look back at the because we never done that. This is the first time we've done this. So it's interesting.
Actual average points 32 for the Packers, 32 for me.
Nice. You're playing 88D chess or whatever.
Yep. Andy had 29. Jeremy had 28.
And actual was what, 32?
Yep. And the opponent score, I gave our defense a little more credit.
The defense didn't we end up like total defense was like top 10?
They picked it up towards the end.
Yeah, I think we're 10.
But I gave them a little more credit through the whole season. They
did get better at the end. I think the last quarter they didn't have like a steep, So it was, what do they call it? It wasn't a V curve.
Right.
But it was
so in that regard, Andy was dead on. Andy had 22 points for the opponents.
Interesting. And I've never gambled in my life.
And Jeremy was a little bit closer on both, so it's good. We did good. I think all did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I luck into all that stuff because, like I said, I never gamble. I don't pay attention to those lines.
Of course. It was all just silly speculation anyway. But it's fun to just
that's a good band
look
name.
at it.
Silly speculation. We are silly speculation. Good night.
Oh my gosh!
This is funny. At work, we were speaking of silly band names. There's a product that one of the features and benefits on the outside of the packaging says penetrating catalyst, and I go, that is a band name. The end. But again, the fact that we can talk about silly nonsense, I think that's a good thing because number one, we do it all the time, and number two, it means that it's somewhat slow because the Packers didn't even have to play. That's always a good thing. So it's going to be a Saturday late afternoon game. I'm not a huge fan of that, but what do you do?
Yeah, it ruins my day. I seriously when I saw it come out and I was like 3:35 and I'm like, that splits my day in half. Now I'm screwed. So
That means you spend the whole day watching and waiting.
Okay,
Oh,
your eyes are creeping me out. Your eyes are creeping me out.
That's the old Florida look now.
Yeah.
They say Florida. What did they say? Florida Mind. There used to be a Twitter account called like Florida Guy, and it was like all the crazy stories about.
I'm literally right on Grandpa Bay.
Literally on Grandpa Bay.
I'm telling you, I think it's at Zephyrilia's Hills water that you're drinking down there. Zephyr Hills, but I call it Zephyrilia's.
I do have to bring this up. This is totally random, but so Green Bay was named like safest city, I think. Was that somewhere in some list or something?
Yeah, because they're 13-3.
Yeah.
That was great.
Point.
Oh man, I didn't see it coming at all. It totally got me off guard. That was great. But I think it was like something. It was last Friday. It was like safest.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know what the what do you want to say, the stipulations are or whatever, or qualifications, I guess. But the reason I bring this up is, so I saw that pop up in my phone, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Look at that. No. And then, like, I'm not kidding, like 2 minutes later, something like I got a notification, or I can't remember where it was from. It was from Green Bay Police. It says, man arrested for 16th OWI in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And I was like,
but he was arrested. He didn't smash in anybody and wipe them out
for the 16th time.
Other than the end of the play, Mrs. Lincoln, how was it? No, I know, but it was like 2 minutes, like safest place.
No,
16th OWI.
I just love the 2 minutes span of like safest city, and then you get that.
And I'm like, had that report come out 2 minutes before, we might have lost safest. That is, God, I thought it was like a typo. I'm like, 16th? It's like his OWIs are old enough to drive.
The fact that makes the news in Green Bay is because it is so safe. That doesn't make the news in Grandpa Bay.
That's in Grandpa Bay. I guess it's about life forces of tomatoes and things like that. They got wanted $100,000 reward. The Commodore's hat. And it's just, have you seen? Okay, we're going on Scientology. Have you seen this hat?
You've lost it.
I can't help it. I need it.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if you guys remember when Tom Brady first got down to Tampa. He went to the wrong house, and they called the cops on him, and the cops came. They didn't arrest him, but it was just kind of a funny correlation that he comes down to Tampa and he goes to the wrong house. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty funny when I heard that.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
They should have put him away. That would have been great.
That would have been
Locked
awesome.
him up.
Put him where he
Stalker.
Signs a contract and then goes away for a year.
Cheater, criminal.
What do you think, Maynard?
Yeah, he ain't making it to no NFC Championship.
Maynard? No, he's tired.
Nope, no siree. That'll be the Saints.
Oh, Saints versus Packers. Let's see
I think so.
Yeah, that's
somebody's got to lose next week.
Right.
Well, look, I'm bringing up again, but the Jared Valdir thing. What's interesting about that, too, is that, look, if Ted Thompson was still the general manager, negative chance you'd see that. There isn't even a zero chance. It's in the negatives. So I made a comment in Slack when Jerry put that out there. They go, you talk about going all in. Is it an element of luck there? Obviously. But there's no way Ted Thompson would have made that move. Even if it was staring him in the face.
It was funny. We're talking about Grandpa Bay and Ted Thompson. It just all came together for me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It all comes together.
Wonder what Ted is up to. I hope he's doing well. I know he has some health problems.
He's down by the pool.
He's got that golf cart. He's in the Villages. No, that's in a different area, isn't it? You ever see that commercial?
Yeah.
The Villages. Oh,
It's like 90 minutes, I think.
Yep. So, like anything, I'm just hoping for a competitive game and a Packers win. Actually, I don't want a competitive game. I want a blowout by the Packers. And I want it to be because of the defense. Man, think about it, like if the defense really does start to come on, like if it takes another step, we're winning it all, baby. How could you not?
Well, now is the time to start.
Kansas City on a collision course with Kansas City.
We're not there yet.
Wrong. You mean the Browns or the Bills? Don't even talk like that.
I'd like that.
Actually, who is Kansas City playing?
The Browns.
Man.
The dog pound's going to Chiefville.
See, you know what's funny? I mean, I don't know. You guys like the Browns could beat the Chiefs.
Easy.
They could. They could.
Nobody had the Browns winning yesterday, so of course they can.
I mean, they broke an NFL record, didn't they? 28 points in the first quarter. Isn't that an NFL record?
Playoff record, I think.
Yeah, I mean NFL playoff record. But it's nice that somebody else gets. It's nice that we you'd always look at like our defense. It's like, oh, NFL playoff record for points surrendered or quarterback rushing. It's always back to us. It's like, now it's some other team's defense getting these records. Weird season. I mean, with the Steelers, though, you got to think, is Big Ben done?
He sat on the bench last night crying, so I'm sure he had some thoughts about it.
Yeah, he does that every game, though.
All right.
First game of his career, he sat on the end of the bench and cried. That's his routine. All righty. Well, go back, go.
Go back, go.
Don't be so enthusiastic.
There you go.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?